Osmanthus wine.
Yo, how's it going, guys and gals? I hope you liked that intro. I know this is a different type of video than what I normally do, but I feel like I should branch out my content for more than the .exe videos. Anyway, in this video, I'm going to be going over why I think Ayato's first and only story quest is, in my opinion, for the Twitter warriors out there, this is my opinion, okay? Why I think this story quest just isn't really that great. It's actually really terrible, but get into that. It seems as though most of the community has come to the general consensus that Ayato's story quest is pretty damn terrible. So, in this video, I'm going to be explaining why, at least in my opinion, it's really bad. If you have a different opinion of why it's really bad, then you can tell me in the comments. But sit back, relax, grab your favorite drink or snack, hit that like and sub button, and let's discuss this question. Why is Ayato's story quest just so shit? The first thing I want to go over about why I think this story quest is so bad, and it's also one of the biggest issue with almost all of the story quests in Genshin, most of them at least, is the lack of like any interesting dialogue at all. Maybe it's because I have the attention span of a fucking goldfish, which is very possible, but Ayato's story quest didn't seem to have any interesting dialogue. At least from what I played, it didn't really have any interesting dialogue. It just felt really boring. For example, like in a quest like Zhongli's first story quest, to be specific, there's a ton of dialogue, but it's all like given to you in an interesting way that makes you actually give a shit about Zhongli's story and everything he's done and everything he's been through, right? Like, there's a lot of things he says in the quest. Also, Zhongli's voice is just, really nice to listen to. But in the quest, you go to a bunch of new and interesting places that specifically show you what Zhongli is talking about and why they're important to the quest and to the lore of Genshin in general. Like when he takes you and your ragtag little group of archaeologists to Guyan Stone Forest to learn more about the Archon War and the different artifacts. And I don't mean artifacts that give us all headaches and make us wish for an end to life suffering. Rather, artifacts from Ningguang's collection that were washed here when we killed the giant tentacle hentai monster. Those types of artifacts. There's none of that kind of stuff in Ayato's story quest. You learn nothing about even the history of Inazuma. I mean, you learn some things about, I guess, the politics of Inazuma, but I mean, it's boring. Politics in general is just boring. You learn nothing about the history of Inazuma, like you did in A's quest, but you only talk to boring NPCs that don't really matter. And that actually gives us a great segue into my next complaint about this story quest, is specifically the utter lack of any interesting characters whatsoever, aside from Ayato himself and maybe Toma? I mean, Toma's in the quest for like 10 seconds, but we'll get into that. The thing that makes Ayato's story quest so dog shit is this utter lack of any interesting characters. Like, where the absolute shit is Ayaka? Like, they could have at least added Ayaka. In the story quest, Ayaka's mentioned a single time, and it's Kamisato Ayato stating that she's busy with other matters.
Ayaka is out today.
Bruh. Like, is that really the best excuse you can give as to why Ayaka isn't in the quest with her damn brother? I mean, in a story quest like Mona's, Klee was in it. And Klee doesn't even have a relation to Mona, but their interaction was really, really, really nice. The only characters that you talk to other than Ayato and Toma for like 20 seconds total of screen time are a bunch of generic NPC number 367 who have zero interesting dialogue at all. You could make the same argument about Zhongli's first quest, I guess, but in my opinion, at least those NPCs had interesting personalities and weren't one-sided robots. The NPCs in this quest were all really generic. Of course, Genshin just, for whatever reason, all of the NPCs looked the exact same.
Look at the top of his head.
Aside from, oh, this guy's got white hair and this guy's got a fucking mustache. But they all looked the same and they had no depth to them at all. They were just really, really boring, in my opinion. Also, Ayato has these Shumatsuban ninjas spying on the bad guys, so where the fuck is Sayu? You could have, you know, used her instead of, again, generic NPC number 365 to spy on the antagonists. It would have been so much better and so much more fun to have Sayu be the ninja that spies on them. You know, the interaction between Sayu and Ayato would probably be really funny and really, really entertaining. But no, they didn't have any of that. They didn't have any characters aside from Toma for like 10 seconds and a bunch of generic NPC number 475. And it's really just disappointing, the lack of interesting characters in this quest. At least, in my opinion, the characters in this quest are really, really boring. You might have a different opinion, but I think all of the NPCs in this quest were really, really, really boring. And that's the thing. Genshin has had very, very interesting NPCs, like the girl from the Chasm questline. You know, her story is pretty interesting and actually engages you, whereas these NPCs, it's just really, really boring. Now, talking about the combat of the quest, there is a very, very apparent lack of any interesting enemies, and especially there is a huge lack of any combat whatsoever. There is almost zero combat in this entire quest. Most people, they play Genshin for the combat, right? Of course, there are a lot of people out there, myself included, that enjoy the lore and the story of Genshin. I think we all enjoy the lore and story of Genshin. Otherwise, it wouldn't be as fun to play. You could just go play a similar game with better story. But the thing is, if I wanted to sit back and watch a story, I would just go to a movie theater and not play a video game where I'm like just sitting there watching this boring, uninteresting dialogue take place with these boring, uninteresting NPCs. It just doesn't make any sense. And there is one instance of combat in this entire quest. Yes, in case you haven't played the quest, yeah, there is not 3, there's not 2, there is literally only one singular instance of combat throughout this entire quest, and it lasts for maybe 30 seconds of a quest that is literally almost 2 hours long. When I did this quest on stream, which by the way, you should follow my Twitch, would love to see you there. It took me almost 2 hours to get through the whole quest. And when I was editing this quest so I could put it on YouTube, the quest itself is just so boring that I don't really think it belongs on YouTube. It's just not a good quest. But anyway, yeah, there's no combat at all in this entire quest. It would be like if you walked into a John Wick movie to see him like fight a bunch of dudes and kill a bunch of dudes, and you only see him like fight 5 generic henchmen in an alleyway, and then the rest of the movie is just him talking to like a single other person. It's like if you ordered a cheeseburger from McDonald's and they only gave you a box with a singular pickle in it. It makes no sense, and it's just completely stupid. In every other story quest, maybe aside from Kokomi's, but Kokomi's was also really shit. There are multiple combat sequences, in all of the quests I've played, there's one domain, but there's at least a domain at more than one combat sequence, and maybe there's a new boss. In this quest, there's none of that. It's just go here, fight these 5 generic NPCs in a cave, and then follow a fucking tanuki. It makes no sense, and it's just disappointing. It feels like how little effort they put into this quest. There's no combat at all. I mean, there's some combat, but I mean, it's like 10 seconds of fighting dudes in this cave, like I said earlier. But it's just a really disappointing quest. And this next topic, oh my god, is probably the nail in the coffin, the big nail in the coffin for this quest. Like, not even the final nail in the coffin. It's just like they took this giant fucking nail and just drove it straight into this dude's coffin. But the last thing about this dumpster fire of a quest, it's not even fucking about Ayato. I mean, for fuck's sake, the entire story revolves around a wedding that I could not give less of a shit about. You would think the Ayato story quest would at least be about motherfucking Ayato. But nope, it's about some dumbass wedding that nobody cares about. Well, I should say, it's about a dumbass wedding nobody cares about and someone trying to like sabotage this relationship that nobody gives a fuck about. Ayato feels like a side character in this entire quest. Like, it is the Ayato story quest, and it's not even about him. If someone would ask me right now, did you learn anything new about Ayato after this quest? No, I didn't. And that's the worst part. At no point do you learn anything new about Ayato's personality, his backstory. I mean, hell, you don't even learn anything new about the Kamisato clan just in general. This quest would be fine as like a side quest or a world quest, but it's meant to be a character quest about Ayato, and they couldn't even do that. It just feels like an insult just how bad this quest is. It feels like Hoyoverse took their finest piece of china and just took a massive shit on it and then served it to me. Like, it's just so bad. And again, Ayato isn't even the main focus of the quest. The only new thing you learn about Ayato is that he likes food that tastes like shit.
Lavender melon, seagrass, and sea ganoderma.
What?
That is the only new thing you learn about him, is that he likes food that tastes like shit.
Lavender melon.
Like, in the quest, spoiler warning, I guess, you go to this Dongo stall. It's the same guy that was in A's first story quest, which that story quest is also shit. But you go to this Dongo thing, and this dude's talking about his milk or whatever, and talking about the interesting ingredients he likes to put in his milk. And Ayato's like, oh yeah, why don't we put some
Lavender melon
in it? And, you know, naturally, when you put other ingredients inside milk, especially fruit, it tastes like shit. But for some reason, he likes it, and that is all you learn about him. That is the only thing in this entire quest that you learn about Ayato, is that he likes things that taste like shit.
Seagrass.
And all in all, this quest is just a complete and utter disappointment. So much so that I feel like I just had to make a video on it. And I mean, it's really disappointing because we know Hoyoverse can make really, really good quests. I mean, they've done it countless times. The Inazuma Archon quest, even Liwa's Archon quest was really good. The story quests, Zhongli's story quest was phenomenal. A's second story quest was phenomenal, in my opinion. And I can make videos on those later. But for now, this is going to be the end of this first installment in Why Is So-and-so Quest So Shit or So Good? And I will be doing a video on, I think, all the other story quests. But I hope y'all have a great week, great month, great year. If you agreed with what I said, go into the comments and talk about what you agreed on and maybe what you disagreed on, especially if you disagree with me. I would really, really like to see that comment because I think discussion, especially in Genshin's community, is really important. I think having a genuine discussion about why story quests are good or bad and how we can improve them is great. But yeah, like, subscribe, and again, comment if you disagree with the video, and I will talk to y'all later.